another edition of the Wrestling Underground podcast. I am your host, as always, Chad Porto. Joining me is Marcus Green. Marcus, we got a big old show for you today.
It's a plethora of topics.
So it's been a wild week. A couple big names been let go. A few more names are going to be let go, and we have one person to blame for it. Khan, not Tony Khan. But I generally don't remember the other Khan's name. Kenny Khan, Cobra Khan, Kubla Khan, Genghis Khan. I don't know his name. But he's WWE's new head honcho behind Vince McMahon, and he has one goal: make the company money. Go figure. A publicly traded billion-dollar company is only interested in making money.
Nick Khan. Yeah.
Nick Khan. I like Kubla Khan better. Marcus, before we get into any specific topics, let's talk about how you feel about this new edict by the WWE to release anyone and everyone if it helps save a buck.
I'm not really surprised by it, man. We talk about this all the time, specifically with that company. Obviously, it can happen with any business, but specifically with that company, all those guys are just spokes on the wheel that's gonna keep turning in the company's mind, regardless to who is on the end of the spoke. Which one of the spokes is on there. Because in their mind, somebody's always looking to be a spoke on the wheel because it's their wheel, and yeah, we know they see everybody. I mean, it's only a few people they might not see as expendable. And that's counting on one hand, but in terms of talent, but you know, it's all those guys are just convenient for them when they are, and when they're not, it's poop, scoops, and skidoo.
I honestly don't think that there's any name that they won't release. If they cut Braun, Bray, who else? They weren't able to get done a new deal with Daniel Bryan. They're not able to get a new deal done with Adam Cole. There's been a few other names. Samoa Joe they cut and they brought back. These aren't nobody names, and these are some pretty decent-sized talent, so it's like, if they're not safe, then who is? John Cena? You could easily make the argument if you're, Nick Khan, we pay him $5 million a year, and he does 12 matches. I think partially that's one of the reasons why Brock Lesnar isn't back, because of Nick Khan's, I don't know, he makes a lot of money, Vince. And, that's what you love to hear, a billion-dollar company that had its best and most successful year ever profitably during a pandemic where everyone else lost money, is afraid to spend money. You love to hear that. Hey, we got cash assets to burn. Should we sign everyone? What's the opposite of signing everyone? Releasing everyone? Let's do that instead. I don't know, Nick. That seems like a bad idea. AEW is in the black if it wasn't for that video game company they're trying to start. Yeah, we're going to cut everybody. And Vince just seemingly doesn't care. He's like, yeah, we're going to give AEW more of our talent. Like, what? Why would you do that? Why go do big stupid thing, you big stupid head? I don't get it. I don't know. So, we alluded to it. Let's get into it. Bray Wyatt has been let go. The Fiend is dead. Long live the Fiend. I'm not of the mindset that I'm shocked, nor am I of the ilk that's like, oh, he's such a great talent. Is he? I mean, he's Freddy Krueger with a stupider mask. Like, he's not original. I can't say that he is. We've seen this in other forms of entertainment. And, he's doing a fun, silly kids thing. We've seen that, too. It's fucking, I think it was Black Mirror did like a Bob Rossian fights zombies episode. No, it's Bob Ross fights the Deadites episode. Granted, he wasn't actually Bob Ross, but still. Maybe it wasn't Black Mirror, but it was something of that ilk. I think it was like Creepshow. So, like, we've seen that. It's not original. And Bray Wyatt sucks in the ring. Why do you think he does all the cinematic matches? It's not because he's a revolutionary. Oh, and by the by, he cheated on his wife, abandoned his 2 children, and hooked up with JoJo Offerman. So, like, I don't know. Fuck him. I kind of have a big thing about infidelity. I think you're a scumbag if you do it. I don't know. I just think when you take a vow in front of God, that should mean something. No, I'm weird like that. When someone has your trust, that should mean something. I don't know, Marcus. I don't know. Loyalty means something to me. I don't know. I'm weird like that. It's why if I ever win $1 billion or ever make $1 billion, I'm taking Marcus with me. Kicking and screaming, but I'm taking him. Is that kidnapping? It's fine. You're fine with it.
Yeah, same, man. Even if I can't take it with me, I'm sending you something. But got to. But yeah, man, it's weird. I'm right there with you because of the way the company is set up. Now, I'm not really surprised when anybody. Like I said, it does feel like maybe names like Orton and maybe a couple other guys feel like they may have more benefit of the doubt to be like, okay, we'll extend a couple extra hands to see if they'll stay more than anybody else, where we'll just be like, we'll make the decision for them and won't give them the option. But yeah, I wasn't really surprised. I mean, he's been off TV since the night after Mania, or something to that nature.
I think it was Mania, wasn't it? Oh yeah, no, it was the night after because he did the last Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, where he lost to Orton again.
Mm-hmm.
Something to that effect. So in a horrendous feud, they essentially gave Alexa his gimmick. I mean, it's almost like they've been planning to release him because they basically allowed him to groom her for his gimmick, gave it to him, gave it to her, put him off TV, and then was like, yeah, hasta la bye-bye. I mean, look, I get the outrage and whatnot from fans because, they have a certain perception of him, but I mean, you can't really be shocked. I mean, he went from Husky Harris to Bray Wyatt. As exciting moments or whatever, good moments and great moments that character had, they eventually ran that into the ground because once he got out of that Wyatt family situation, he basically became a dude that did nothing but start fights he never finished. Because he'd always lose. And then that got old, and then it got into this, and this was the most exciting thing the company has done for a lot of people in a long time. Pushing merch, doing all that good stuff. Then that Hell in a Cell happened. And I don't know how much longer it took him to recover from that, but then he ran into the wall, Chad's favorite wall, that is Bill Goldberg, and he never recovered from that.
Yeah, so I have zero complaints about Goldberg squashing him.
Yeah, so they essentially ran two gimmicks into the ground, and if he put in as much work with the Fiend gimmick as much as people are saying, that's even worse. Then in the midst of all that, he loses a really good friend in Brody Lee, on top of the horrendous booking, and it's just a cavalcade of crap. So, yeah, I just think this is another reminder of people. Aside from what happened, because she commented on it, aside from what happened with Mickey James with the garbage thing, if that wasn't a great metaphor for what they think of people, anybody can go. And no matter how creative you are, how, supposedly over you are, you just another spoke on the wheel, and when one falls off, one will be replaced, or they just move on to another wheel, So, I tweeted on the thing, I was like, look, dude, you free. And then I put up the gift when he was like, run. Just run.
Yeah.
Like it's never worth the hassle. It's not worth the hassle. They literally beat the creative out of creatives.
He's been locked in someone's toy trunk in the basement for the last fucking 20 years. He finally got let out because the dude had a change of heart, and Bray's like lingering at the door, looking back in, like, I don't know if I should go. No, fucking go. Listen, I'm not a fan of the guy. But yeah. I view this whole last year and a half in the same light. It doesn't matter who you are in terms of who's getting released. It's a travesty. This company's making buckets of money. And now they're on Peacock, who have passed 50 million subscribers. By the by, the WWE Network never passed, 2? So, and you want to know why the WWE Network shut down? Because it never turned a profit. It was always in the red. It was always in the red. It lost every year in operation. That's why all those new shows they were creating for it only lasted a year. They're spending $20 million on a show that got 500,000 views or 400,000 views or 200,000 views, if that. And I don't even think it was that. So, yeah, they're making money hand over fist, and they're letting talent go hand over fist. And it's like, The only thing I can think of, Marcus, is that this is some type of ramp up to a sale. That's the only thing I can think of. Why else would you chop off so many money-making assets? Like, apparently Bray Wyatt was a top merch guy. Why would you chop that off? Because you're trying to inflate the bottom line as much as possible for a purchase. That's my only thought. I think NBC Universal is going to try to buy the WWE in the next few months. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. That's the new trend in streaming wars, is to buy up companies. Fucking Impact did it with Invicta. Access TV now owns Impact Wrestling and Invicta FC. You know, Impact's probably the third or fourth biggest wrestling promotion in the United States. Invicta is probably in the top 5 or 4 in MMA. I would say there's UFC, Bellator, PFL, and then I would say Invicta's probably 4th. So they're making moves themselves, and they're a fucking cable network. So yeah, expect the WWE to either be sold or have many offers in the next couple months. Expect it.
No, I'm kind of right there with you, because you kind of look at it. You know, it's gotten to a point where they really, as much as the whole fanfare about getting back on the road is. I mean, that has more to do with, they see the opportunity to capitalize off of, finally giving some bread to a starving man. After the whole pandemic, and obviously, the whole point of, a lot of these performers, thrive with the whole road thing. But I think it's funny, because I think even Roman Reigns said, for as cool as the road is and everything, I don't think a lot of those guys miss those tours and whatnot. And because we know how torturous that road is for a lot of guys. And I think for as crappy as it was to watch the whole thing with the Thunderdome, that was great for the talent. Because it gave them one thing to do, one thing to kind of focus on. Obviously, the live crowd reaction is something you can't really replicate, but that really helped the talent, because they didn't have to have their bodies beat to piss, flying back and forth, how God knows how many times, hotel room, rental cars, and all that jazz. So, I said all that to say that they really kind of started leaning on the TV side contracts. And then obviously, like you said, with the whole Peacock thing, they don't necessarily need to go out on the road. So, I think that just adds to your point, like, they kind of ramping everything, up in a lot of ways. Because you had been said, I think, even early on when they first started the WWE Network, that they needed to turn a certain amount of subscribers in a certain amount of time to actually make it the way, like, this thing is going to be long-term successful.
Mm-hmm.
Because he abandoned the pay-per-view model. And then obviously, people bet on themselves all the time, but it became very apparent very quickly that they were never going to get never going to reach the goal that they assumed they would. So, and like you said, they came out with all those shows and thought they was going to garner a lot of attention, and it got buzz. But I mean, you can't, when your foundation sucks, which is the main wrestling product, you can't spur off a bunch of other stuff and then expect to retain those same fans who only came there in the first place because of the original stuff. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. At this point, it's all about the E in the company anyway. So I don't know why people are so get so disgruntled. Vince hates the word wrestling.
And their whole thing is to have more more scripted television that's not wrestling focused. Here's something I want to point out. For $60 a pop, the WWE was making around $12 million per pay-per-view before they trashed the model for the streaming service. Like, just think about that. Like, we're talking 200,000 people. If 200,000 people bought your pay-per-view for $60 a month, that's $12 million. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that it costs roughly, let's say, $1 million to put on a pay-per-view. It's not even that high because TNA was doing it for 3 years every week. But let's just say it's $1 million. So that's $11 million for one show, right? And that's not counting talent contracts or anything else. So let's just say $11 million. Let's say you only run 12 shows a year. Marcus, that's $132 million you are giving up in revenue. The WWE Network was, what, $10.99? We'll round up and say $12. It was $12. And there was 2 million subscribers. and we'll count that for 12 months. That's $288 million. The figure I first gave you, what was it, 240, I think, 240 million? Or 240, 100 million? Something like that. Was for one show. Oh, no, that's for the year. And that so think about that. You're making a little bit more money on the streaming side of things, right? But you're also paying more because if it's $1 million to put on a pay-per-view, your streaming service isn't a one-day thing; it's a 24/7 day thing. So you're paying $1 million to put on a $12 million show. Okay, there's affordable risk there. You know, you got a nice vaunted ceiling to clear. But with the streaming service, you're paying $1 million arguably every fucking week.
Yeah.
Because you have servers, you have the staff, you have to pay for hosting, and you're hosting hundreds of thousands of hours of content. That's a big man. I'm telling you what, it costs us about $20 for hosting, and we have stupid little articles. Could you imagine if we had gigatons worth of data? Anti-blockers, you have to pay for viral detectives or viral detective services to make sure no one's trying to hack your shit. You got to pay for the billings. Like, that's a huge fucking undertaking. Plus, you're putting in $20 million per new show. That's a lot of money. So, yeah, you might make $288 million off of the WWE Network, but it might cost you $270 million just to do it in a year. So,
so you're
you're barely breaking even at 200 million subscribers across 12 years not 12 years, 12 months at $12 a pop. And it wasn't always $12 a pop. And they didn't always have 2 million subscribers. So, like, that's something that people need to realize. Like, this company they pooched it. They pooched it hard. They pooched the fucking pay-per-view model for no reason.
They overshot their mark because they were banking on getting that amount of subscribers immediately.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so.
And that's kind of the whole issue. Like, think about that. Like, they fucking yikes. I don't know what's going on here. Why is the thing flipping through? Stay. All right. Nope. Step. Our slideshow's broken, Marcus. It won't do the thing.
Oh no.
All right, I think we're good now. All right, so yeah, we were flashing through images, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, so JoJo Offerman, who used to be a ring announcer for the WWE and is Bray Wyatt's mistress, you can be mad at me for saying that that's what she is, but when you sleep with a married man, that's what you are. Oh, but they were probably having problems. Well, you know what? Then get a fucking divorce. All right? Because until that ring comes off, until you are no longer seen as husband and wife, you are still husband and wife. Don't get married for the sake of getting married, you fucking idiots. Anyway, yeah, I think both Bray and JoJo are trashy people, and I'm not going to apologize for that because they are. They're both trashy people. But she's gone. She's taken her unique brand of infidelity trash with her. I don't think anyone cares. I don't know why she was kept around as long as she was. It's not like she was any good as a ring announcer. She wasn't bad. I'm not gonna sit here and repaint history, but like Tony Chimmel, right? If you talk about Edge, you think Tony Chimmel, the rated R superstar, because you got to get them cookie crisps. JoJo didn't have one of those. She didn't have one of those where you get excited. You know, Tony Schiavone screamed Sting because that was his whole Sting, and it wasn't really that. That was overblown, by the way. Like, his whole Sting thing was not as big as people want to make it out as today.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's fine. Revisionist history is Cody's specialty. Yeah. Ask Ted DiBiase Jr.
Yeah, it was a good aesthetic appeal for both PR and on the show. She's a very aesthetically pleasing young woman.
Oh, she's gorgeous.
Not to take away from actual talent, because you have to be able to do something to get that position. But obviously, like I said, it made the company look more diverse from a PR perspective because you have women who are not only wrestling, But I think was that during the time where I think Renee might have been on commentary or something like that, um, doing her stint, and then you got JoJo on that, so you could say like we don't just hold women to a certain thing, and then yeah, like I said, she was obviously drop dead gorgeous, and Vince is not gonna turn that down, so
I'm not sad to see her go though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's not missed. I mean, I don't think a lot of people would have even noticed until it came up that she was with Bray. Like, oh yeah, she sure haven't been on screen. Like, same could be said about Caruso. She
Yeah.
went to ESPN full time. She was cool. She had personality, but again, they just kind of moved somebody else in. I mean, hell, I guess Mackenzie took her spot, huh?
I think
So
so. Man, like you asking me or telling me like who's doing commentary, or who's doing announcing or backstage, is like me. It's like asking me who's on Real Madrid soccer team. I'll just nod and go sure, like I actually know. Yeah, no, Flipovich, yeah, hell of a booter.
yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
only reason why I even call her Mackenzie because we both familiar with her. So it's like we both know she's working there now. So
Oh, that's right, Mackenzie Mitchell, formerly of Impact. Okay, all right. Because they all have like this. So WWE, for whatever reason, goes through this catalog period of people. White crew cut dudes, like with Legacy. Every black dude has dreads. Then there was a spell before I completely tuned out of WWE where every backstage interviewer was either Puerto Rican, Hispanic, or a mixed race where it was like a light mocha skin cone. And it's like, that's what they all look like. I'm like, do you guys know you can vary them up? Like, this isn't like Neapolitan ice cream. Like, you don't need to buy them in bulk. Like, you can just pick them one at a time and have different people. You can have a black girl, you can have a white girl, a Puerto Rican girl, a Japanese. Like, you don't need to make them all look the same and make everyone else go, which one's which? I still do that when I see Summer Rae and Charlotte. I'm like, wait, which one are you? Fuck. Have you ever noticed that? Like, it's always like trends, like groups of dudes. Hogan, Savage, and like 1,000 other dudes in like 1987 all had do-rags. Why? or sweat rags, whatever the fuck they were called. Bandanas, there it is.
yeah, I mean, you talked about it was that. It was the long hair era,
The beard, everyone had scraggly beard era.
beard era, um, even down to like actual ring aesthetic. So
Yeah.
it's a thing, man.
I'm not kidding when I bring that up. Like, seriously, it's the thing.
Sleeves, everybody was getting sleeves.
Everyone's wearing the same type of trunks. Like, it's bad. It's so bad. But what are you going to expect? Like, their entire entrance setup is designed to make you think that every show is the same show. They deliberately tone down the physical aspects of every arena to make it seem like they're in the same arena. Like, could you imagine that? Like, you have the opportunity to run Madison Square Garden. Why would you not use that short, that short walk to the side, right? They did do it once differently in the last 10 years. It was in the Beast from the East show. They actually came in from the corner. I thought that was
Yeah,
dope.
yeah. Or the remember that Rumble when Cena came back and the ring was like really close to the entrance.
That's the Madison Square Garden short walk. That's what I'm talking about right there. Because they also did that for the 2000 Royal Rumble. WrestleMania 20 had that same setup, although they had the longer ramp too. But like, you remember WrestleMania 20?
Yeah,
Remember when Rock was doing his whole like promo where it's like that, and Mick Foley, you are home, and then he pushes open like this giant door, and he's like, and the people. That's literally where Cena would come out when he came back, was like that one spot.
yeah,
So like, there are arenas that they just have this magnificent structure to them, and they completely just disrespect it. Like, think about when Shawn lost his smile. Did you ever see that clip or even that entire episode of Raw, or have at least seen the segment?
yeah.
So they're in a auditorium, and there's that cool ass 2/4 balcony that wraps all the way around the ring. And it goes all the way to behind where the camera is because that's how it's set up. Like, they would never run that again. Granted, it only holds like 5,000 people, so that's one reason. But the other reason is because it's too obvious that you're not in the same location.
Yeah.
I hate that. Like, one of the reasons I love baseball so much is every ballpark is different. Like, hey, this ballpark has 485 feet to dead center because fuck you, you're not hitting any home runs there. And then this one has a 325 home run porch on the left field. Why? Because we're artificially creating the ability to create runs. And I love it because it's dumb. It's stupid.
Yeah,
I love it.
It also won't allow them to do any pyro or those on-screen graphics for the entrances that they love to do now.
Talk about waste of money. Speaking of waste of money, let's talk about Ric Flair. I feel like JBL in One Night Stand writing those fake checks and then bouncing them. Boing. Boing. So yeah, Ric Flair is apparently out of debt because of the WWE. But he's done doing their dirty work. Basically, he just said that he was unhappy with his position. And he wanted something different. Marcus, it's one of those things where I don't know if it was a shocker or if it should have been a shocker or if it maybe was a shocker, but was the release of Ric Flair something that kind of took you by surprise?
It took me by surprise that he was the one that was behind it because the hilarity of you got Bray Wyatt and Ric Flair on payroll, and you see Wyatt as the more expendable in 2021.
Well, maybe Ric Flair was making significantly less, and I mean significantly less. Like, that's something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Also, I think that might be a thing of, Vince may have a soft spot for Flair in that regard because they have bailed him out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of different instances. But, like you said, he's in a different space now. Personally, I thought it was weird that he really was as active as he was doing this whole thing. But, thankfully nothing happened to him health-wise. But, I mean, again, I think that, look, they've lost Big Show, Henry, and now Flair. That says volumes. When you get to the point where even Flair's like, y'all not even doing enough that's interesting enough worth of a damn with my daughter for me to stick around. And not that was a thing because they took, from a character perspective on screen, they took his head out of Charlotte's ass and put it up Lacey Evans, which is not an upgrade by any means. And then did a whole storyline where she may have not been having his kid. Like, come on. Like, just, like, even Flair's like, take me back to TNA. Like, it's crap. It's crap. But yeah, I mean, with Flair, I just, it says a lot that he kind of leave that safety net. Like you said, he may have been making a considerable less amount in terms of the comparison between him and Bray. But I just think that says a lot when people like Big Show and Henry and Flair, who essentially could be lifers if they want to, decided, like, look, man, I don't have a lot of years left to be, even involved in this. I got to go where, I'm wanted and not, where I'm just sitting on the shelf like Woody in the second Toy Story with his arm broken. Like, I'm going to just put him on the shelf.
So here's what Ric Flair said to People Magazine or People.com or whatever People is now. Excuse me. We just didn't see eye to eye on some business opportunities that I wanted to pursue. This seems to be a reoccurring narrative. That's why Jeff Jarrett's gone, which, oh, by the by, Jeff Jarrett's gone.
Quietly.
So quietly. Jeff Jarrett to TNA confirmed. By the by, I love that Ali Davis pointed out that everyone that has left the company over the last year and a half via a departure has feuded with Randy Orton, Matt Hardy, Big Show, Mark Henry, Ric Flair, Christian Cage. Like, oh, he's got a point. So anyway, Ric Flair goes on to say there has been no animosity and everything has been on friendly terms. Flair dismissed any report that says he messaged Vince over how frustrated he was with how his daughter Charlotte Flair is booked within the company, noting that they are absolutely not true. It happens sometimes in the business, he says. You just don't see it eye to eye. But how could I have any animosity towards the company who made me who I am? They literally made me who I am. Some of my best friends in the world work at that company. And some of his best friends are black, Marcus. I'm sorry, that's how it comes off to me. Some of my best friends work there. Why would I have an issue? Some of my best friends are black. Why would I be a racist?
Flair saying that?
Yeah. Well, he's not saying some of his best friends are black, but Flair's saying some of his best friends work at the company. That has that same kind of energy, in my opinion. How could I possibly be upset with the company when my daughter is currently the most decorated women's wrestler in the history? It was a mutually agreed upon decision, and I will be moving forward to pursue other exciting endeavors such as my own line of wine, my own network, as well as comic books. I had to make this decision personally for my business and my brand. I can't wait to read the stunning adventures of the 72-year-old wino Ric Flair.
72-year-old wino. That is hilarious. But to a certain extent, I get it because Flair is a pop culture icon.
Significantly so, and mostly due to tipping the cap to the black community. Watch out, AJ Styles. Because a lot of rappers have embraced Ric Flair in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say that he's more popular now than ever before, but I would say I feel like he's more respected mainstream than ever before.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely a big impact there, and Flair always brings that that pomp and that pizzazz, that fanciful living that is celebrated by a lot of people. So like there's going to be kind of like a lot of eyes looking to him as almost a role model, and I think that's interesting because like he's Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And the only models he ever knew, he rolled.
Nice.
Got him.
Nice. But I think it's just seeing value where, just seeing value elsewhere. I mean, look, it sucked like he wasn't doing anything worth a damn on screen. The last thing he did that was actually worth anything was that point where him and Orton was going back and forth and he was like, basically Orton killed him. I put up a thing like Orton has like I said it's like a WWE mandate that if you were a former member of Evolution, you have to get to a point in your career where you leave Flair for dead. No Triple H did it. Well, Batista did it. Give me what I want. And then Orton did it. So that was the last thing he did of relevance. And he was always a tag alonger for his daughter, which was always going to be born because you didn't need him. Then you're doing stuff on screen where they're getting into it, which is may or may not be kayfabe. And then you do the thing with Lacey Evans, and I'm pretty sure, Flair never, begrudges being around a pretty lady, but it makes no damn sense. So if he was being lowballed, and he's like, look, man, like you said, he's seen his popularity rise. I mean, Flair, you see Flair with Snoop, Rick Ross. He's popular on sports teams and all that stuff. Like, he'd almost be dumb not to try to branch out and expand that brand. Right now, specifically when he's probably looking at it like, look, man, I got a pacemaker. I done been lucky to make it to the age I have with the life I've lived. I made it through a pandemic without catching it. I got to strike while the iron is hot, while I still got some embers left to burn. So.
Just got to hope there's not a Hogan tape in his closet somewhere.
Well, because I guess, if he has a network, he can, do podcasts and such, and he can, say on a bigger stage that he hooked up with Halle Berry, which.
If he did.
Oh, man.
Props. I've seen Swordfish. I have no idea what Swordfish is about, but I've seen it.
Swordfish, Monsters Ball, Boomerang is a classic. Even though nothing expressly sensual happened in that movie.
Yeah, I stay away from Monsters Ball for Billy Bobbish reasons.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I don't need to see Halle Berry having a midlife crisis telling Billy Bob to make her feel good. I'm good. Thank you.
I mean, and to your point, like they how many times have we heard people like, isn't that why Batista left the first time? Because he was like, look, man, I wanted to do other opportunities and they wouldn't let me do it. Like it's weird because they've forced guys who wouldn't want to be in some of those WWE movies like a Orton, but wouldn't allow guys who would want to act in some of those movies like a Batista or some other guys to actually do it. Like it's weird, but again, they're gonna push who they're gonna push. You know, the hottest guy in the company at the time when one of those WWE games was coming out was Punk, and I think they had to fight to get him on there because they were trying to go with somebody else, but he was the champion and the hottest guy in the company. So, the backwards booking it makes all the sense in the world. Just I guess I got to give Flair props because that's a very cushy position to stay in and kind of coax in.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, 2K wanted to put Punk on the cover, but WWE didn't want him on it, which is just
yeah,
bonkers. And the WWE films were always ass backwards because think about some of the more popular ones. They weren't the ones you were trying to push because The Rock was in The Rundown, and what was the other one? Walking Tall. Those were both WWE productions, I believe. I know The Rundown was.
yeah.
And they were both remakes, right? No, The Rundown wasn't. Walking Tall was. But when you think about it, like, why wouldn't you try to keep Rocky doing pictures for you? God, did I just say pictures like I'm 90? What the hell is wrong with me? Why wouldn't you keep Rocky around doing films? Oh, well, we're only going to put him in films if he signs a wrestling contract. Why? Like, that was the thing that always boggled my mind. They're always like, we want to be an entertainment company. Then why would you force people to be on your wrestling show that don't want to be on your wrestling show? Conversely, why would you force people into your movies that don't want to be in your movies? Like, Jesus Christ, like, how stupid are you? They had Batista wanting to do stupid Marine movies or whatever he was asking for. And they're like, nah, dog. And now he's carrying a mediocre zombie franchise to 17 fucking spinoffs. Like, listen, Army of the Dead wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. But people loved it because Batista was so goddamn good. And that chick was in it, the doe eyes, and she's the daughter, and I was like, hi. But also Batista. So like, I don't know, they're dumb, they're stupid. Someone who's not stupid is the NWA. Ric Flair made his name in the NWA, and the NWA is running in St. Louis on the 29th for their 73rd anniversary show, and they're like, hey Flair, come join us at Wrestling at the Chase. And the Chase is apparently a hotel in the area that they're going to be returning to do shows at for the first time in years. Marcus, do you want to see Ric Flair at the Chase?
Yeah, I mean, look, the benefit of having guys like Flair and Jake the Snake and Diamond Dallas and a lot of other guys still around is all they need to do, even if you think like, oh, they still got him marching him out here. All they need to do is be in the right environment with the right energy, and it's like riding a bike for them again. Like I never get tired of watching Flair and Jay Lethal had that back and forth. But a lot of why that segment worked was because of the energy Jay Lethal was giving that Flair could play off of. So you get Flair in one of these scenarios, and he can kind of go back and forth with one of these younger guys, or even somebody of his ilk. And that could probably be one of the better things on the show. I mean, he's undefeated on the mic, and we all know he has no problem taking some expensive clothes, dropping the elbow on him, or making himself bleed. He shouldn't still be doing that, but, Flair's going to flare. So, I wouldn't mind seeing it.
You are not wrong. Another idea is to pair up Ric Flair with a possible AEW talent. I mean, after all, the idea of Ric Flair going to AEW makes all the sense in the world. Tully's there, Arn's there, Barry Windham's kid's going to pop up there. Barry Windham's probably going to pop up there. Dean's there.
Yeah.
They have 12 of the Four Horsemen. I think they're only missing Paul Roma.
They have 12 of the Four Horsemen. That is hilarious.
Thank you. NWA or AEW? AEW. God damn it. They've been gone for years. AEW. Where do you want Flair to go?
Honestly, both. I think in this scenario, since like I said, he's finally broke the chain away from the house, if you will. I'd stay liquid. Kind of go around like obviously, though you may want to. Now that I'm thinking about it, with this damn Delta variant out, he may want to hone in on one because you don't want to be doing too much traveling. I don't know if he's vaccinated or not. I would imagine he's vaccinated at his age. But you never know nowadays. But either one, I mean, it's not like NWA can't use him, you know. With the deficit of talent that they lost, and they could use the publicity. And AEW at this point, it's kind of feels like an open casting call for WWE guys at this point. So
I think he's gonna end up in the NWA. We'll see though. Could go either way. So I just looked up Paul Roma's age. It says he's 61. I don't believe that, like, at all. But like, I don't know. Who knows? All right, let's see. Next up, we got. Nope. God damn it! Why did I hit that button? Come back. All right, there we go. We have Mr. Bebe himself, Adam Cole. Here's another idea for you. What would you do if you sang out the blues, or sang the blues, or shut up? What would you do if you're Adam Cole? Go to AEW. Your wife's there, or girlfriend. That might make it harder to, like, I don't know, sleep around. I don't know if they're doing that, but like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, no wrestler in the history of wrestling has ever been faithful to their partner. So like, I don't know. I completely buy it. I'm just speculating now. But would you go to AEW if you're Adam Cole? More specifically, if you're Adam Cole and you show up in AEW, shouldn't you show up with Ric Flair? I mean, you bald like Shawn Michaels, you kick like Shawn Michaels, but you strut like Ric Flair. Poorly, more like a lesser version of AJ Styles trying to pretend to be Ric Flair, but neither here nor there. Marcus, where's Bebe going? Is he staying? Is he going? Is he leaving? Is he here?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I think for a lot of people at this point, anytime anybody gets released now, it's like, oh, Tony, get him. But to me, I feel like that's the easiest route. For a lot of people like that, that's smart money, and it probably is. But for me, if I'm Cole, I shock everybody. I go to ring. I pop up in Ring of Honor.
Oh, back to Ring of Honor.
You
Now,
know, we say, yeah.
well, I was going to ask. Now, does him basically being a 2 or 3 time champion and having carried the company, or I shouldn't say carrying the company, but being the face of the company for as long as he was, do you think that affects something in a good way or a negative way? Because like, I would imagine that if you're Adam Cole, you want challenges, and I don't know if going back to the place that made is necessarily a challenge. Now, for someone like Mike Bennett, who was only ever as high as a tag team champion in that company, and I don't think was ever a singles champion, there's a lot more there to do. Plus, Maria is now running the women's division, I think. Is the fact that he's a former world champion there multi-time, is that a deterrent, you think?
It doesn't feel like it to me because it feels like a different vibe with the company. Also, when he was there, it's a different roster because a lot of those guys that he was running with, I mean, that was the era of the Bucks. I feel like Moose Alexander and ACH was still there when he was there. O'Reilly and all those guys. Obviously, with the Viking Raiders and all those guys are gone. Um, obviously the world title picture looks different now. You got your boy Shane Taylor moving up in the ranks. Um, I forgot the other guy's name. The big man with the beard. He's moving up in the ranks. Mike Bennett's back, obviously. Um, the other guy that was in the Kingdom has been champion, has made his mark. So to me, it doesn't. Because like I said, I feel like it's a different landscape, and there's a lot of fresh blood for him to get into, and he can get into it with his old mates. He could, come and try to do something in the Pure tournament. If you want to say you just come back and kind of stretch his legs, but like I said, that's just me, liking to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing and hit him with a lateral. Obviously, like you said, there's reasons for him to go to AEW. His girl's there. Everybody in his mom's there. That fresh competition there. Obviously, some competition he might be used to, but obviously in a different fashion because they're not under that WWE umbrella. So, like I said, obviously, I guess fast, easy money as AEW. But if I'm him, I might pull a lateral and pop up in a Ring of Honor, maybe even an Impact. So
Now you got me teasing with the Impact because, I mean, again, I'm not a fan of the guy, but
yeah,
I'm a fan of
same here.
anything that makes Impact seem better.
Yeah,
So, I might be down with that. I'm on a Paul Roma kick right now. Apparently, he last wrestled in 2019. Allegedly, he's 61, which I don't believe. But, like, let's say he is. Fucking bring him in. Impact does weird shit now. I like that. Bring him in. Don't be a coward.
just don't be a coward.
That's my mantra in life. Don't be a coward. All right, let's see. Next up on the docket, we have Hangman Page. No longer set for a pay-per-view match with Kenny Omega. Many fans believe the company made this booking decision to prolong the storyline between Kenny Omega and Adam Page, heading into September's All Out pay-per-view. But now reports suggest that the plans have changed and Page is no longer getting his title shot in Chicago. Adam Page is not getting the main event for All Out with Kenny Omega, Meltzer wrote. At one point, it was the plans changed. The 10-man tag was designed to shock people when they veered off that match, but one would think they will be going to it later. Meltzer then speculated that either Cage or Kingston could be next in line for Omega at All Out, but neither of these potential matches have been confirmed. What AEW has planned for Hangman at All Out is currently unknown, but one would think it would be impossible even without a big match in the card. I don't know when they intend on taking the belt off of Omega. I'm not going to pretend to know. I don't. One would think, though, that you would give him Kenny Omega, even if it's in a loss, right? I don't feel like there's a big problem with having him lose to the top guy like that. That does, to me, that doesn't make any sense. So, like, I don't know. But I will ask this. If they're keeping him off, to you, is that a sign that there might be some doubts about what he can do as a main eventer?
I think the more guys they bring in, the further down the rung he's gonna go. Um, you got guys, you bringing in guys like Sting, Christian, um, who Malachi Black. You got, you building up stars like you're seeing stars like Orange Cassidy pick up momentum, Darby pick up momentum, um, Jungle Jack, stuff like that. You got Cage there, you got Lance Hoyt, you got just so many names, Kingston, Moxley, so many names that you could readily kind of rattle off to put in that spot. Hell, we always talk about it all the time. Also, I'm gonna put Pac to the side because that's not one of Chad's guys. But you got freaking Pentagon and Phoenix. It's so many guys in my mind who you could put ahead of him. If anything, he deserves to get at least a shot, like you say, lose because of how long he's been quote unquote being groomed to be put in a position. But then you look at, you could slide Jericho back in there. Thank God we can't put Cody in there. MJF is like I would assume long term. Eventually I would assume they might do something, with Wardlow. Not to mention all the guys that, is in not the Pinnacle, but the freaking Jericho's faction.
The Inner Circle.
Yeah, the Inner Circle, thank you.
I thought I was making a joke by calling them the Inner Circle, but then I remembered that is their dumb name.
Yeah. That's so to me it's just a lot of guys and the Cowboy SHIT is cool, but I think to me he was the hottest when he was gearing up to be the quote unquote guy when he was still in New Japan. And he's come to the States and then they did that whole thing where he kind of disassociated from the Bucks and was this drunk and they've been doing this whole thing of building him up past the drunk stuff to doing Cowboy SHIT. I just don't think it's gotten as hot as they thought it would. Not saying he's not talented, but the character, the excitement around that character is not there. And obviously putting him with the group who was essentially now the existing extension in memory of Brody Lee, gets him some babyface momentum. But I just think you bringing in a lot of more interesting things that just, like I said, continue to knock him down the run. But I do think he deserves to at least get a shot because how long has he, quote unquote, been the guy that's supposed to be the guy? So
3 years, maybe.
yeah,
Now, I haven't seen enough AEW to make a comment about whether or not the fans have gravitated to him.
yeah,
But I would imagine that if they have, if he's really as over as I know Swisher, he's a big old Page fan, big old Adam Page fan. If he's as big of a fan as he is, I think there has to be something there because Swish doesn't just like anyone.
yeah,
But I also have to wonder if Page isn't the final form of the wanna like Yaitis I always talk about, the guy that people always want to like, but no one ever buys into. He might be like the final form of that, like the peak you can be of that without actually being a draw. I think like Matt Hardy for the longest time, like in 2005, it was the pinnacle of that. Everyone's like, oh, Matt Hardy's so popular. Was he, or was he just sentimental? Was he someone that we just hoped would be good but didn't actually want to pay to see? Because I'll tell you what, Marcus, I don't want to see Matt Hardy back in the day. And Paige, to me, feels like Matt Hardy today. Not Matt Hardy today, but like today's Matt Hardy. So I think there's a long way to go for him to get to that level that you need to be a legitimate headliner, and I don't think he's there yet. But keep in mind, how old is Kenny Omega? 38? Let me Google this.
Also, real quick with the Matt Hardy thing, wasn't that during the whole time where he came back in the midst of the Edge leader stuff?
Yes.
I think that helped because we obviously know that line was kind of blurred because that was a real life scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe more people were in on it being a real life thing at the time. But they played into it on screen, so I think that helped. And Edge was I guess in top heel form in terms of being a smarmy bastard at that time. But yeah, I think there were some other factors that helped it because he was like, he's like we like Matt Hardy, but he's not like that guy having these career type matches.
No. So Kenny Omega won his first major championship at 35, 36, 34. He won it in 2018. Adam Page is only 30. Bret Hart, if I remember correctly, didn't win his first WWE title until he was 36. Stone Cold, I think, was 36.
Yeah.
So the notion that you have to win it young is a fallacy that the WWE invented with Brock Lesnar, The Rock, and Randy Orton. Most guys who finally hit that ground and running, they don't win it until their mid to late 30s, at least when you're talking about guys who are successful. Let's see. Edge won it in 2016 or 2006, so that was when he was 47, 15, 32. And even then, he was pretty young for that because he didn't have a good first few years as a headliner. I would even say that up until his last run in 2011, he wasn't someone that you would want to bank alone in the headline with. There's a reason why ratings and attendance were down during the peak of his run. Because they didn't have a lot of guys that you wanted to see. So the later you wait, the better it off you are. And I think with Page, you're going to see the same thing. I think Sting may have been 30 when he won. Well, let me see. He won in 1990. Yeah. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I mean that's basically the story of DDP's career, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't win his until he was like 42, I think. So let's see. 62 is 59, 31. So he was 31 when he won it. DDP is 70. I know that. He old. He's 65. He's not that old. Thought he was older. So Page, let's see. Page won it for the first time in 1999. So let's see. 1956. He was 43 when he won it the first time. So I was close. I said 42. So like Adam Page has a long way to go before he's quote unquote too old to win. The last thing you want to do is hotshot it. It's the last thing you want to do. All right, Ronda Rousey said some dumb shit, and then after this one, we're going to speed around the rest of these because we're already approaching an hour. She tweeted out today just the dumbest of things with regards to Bray Wyatt. She quotes. I'm quoting her when she tweets this, I'm quoting the tweet that she put out. There we go. I've seen you same fans chanting "We want Wyatt" last night, chanting "We want beach balls" over Bray Wyatt performing. If the WWE treated him like he was expendable, it was because you ungrateful idiots did first. So, Ronda Rousey is a bad person. Ronda Rousey is basically wrote in her book that she beat up a boyfriend who was trying to have a conversation with her. She claims that she felt afraid. I can claim anything after the fact. Doesn't mean it's true. She married a dude whose ex-wife, his second ex-wife, which goes to show you if there's more than one, it's not him or it's not them, it's him. Like you're three. Pointing that one out for a reason. His ex-wife has accused him of beating her. So now Ronda Rousey's married to someone accused of domestic violence. Ronda Rousey pretty much have stories surrounding her entire MMA career about her really putrid behavior. The things she said about people. She once said that Chris Cyborg is the only female in the history of MMA who ever lost weight by cutting off her dick. It's a pretty fucked up thing to say about a chick. I mean, like, fuck, Ronda. You're not a good person. So, I'm not surprised that she's taking the billion-dollar company side, the owner who's been accused twice of sexual assault, who's been accused for decades of racism and sexism, who for years have been accused of lying and screwing people out of deals and basically just rewriting history to make himself seem like a good guy when all the bad things he ever says happened to him were things he was also doing to people. You know, he talks about bad business and good business, but he was fucking schmarmy as they come. So I'm not surprised Ronda is back in the billionaire. I think about Dana White. He's even worse than Vince in a lot of ways. Maybe not in the sexual assault way, because I've never heard Dana White ever be accused of that. But like Dana White, Marcus, did you see this stat? It's fucking flabbergasting. Like the four major sports leagues are anywhere from 44 to 53%, I think, or maybe it's 52%, of the revenue that the league generates goes to the athletes. That's not bad, because you still need to, have some of the money go to the owners and to the teams to fucking fund everything. Like you still need the teams to make a profit. So like 50% share is fair. I think it's fair. The UFC, I think it's like 16 or 12%, somewhere in that range, of the money they make in profit goes to the fighters. That's fucked up. Oh, Dana White's a scumbag. But this is who Rousey runs with. Rousey's a Dana girl. No, Rousey's a Vince girl. Rousey's a Triple H girl. Rousey's a Stephanie girl. So I'm not at all surprised she's back in the evil empire. That's who she is. And like everyone's going, oh yeah, way to work the marks. This isn't a work. She's a terrible person. Like, think about that. So like, I don't know. I hope Ronda has a nice, long, healthy life away from my fucking television screen. Which I can pretty much guarantee because I'll never watch the WWE again. Not unless significant changes are made at the top. It's like, I'm sitting pretty either way. But Marcus, are you at all surprised that Ronda went full Ronda on the Wyatt release?
No. I just, it's kind of amazing how dense she is. Like, look, I would imagine as, a woman, dating and whatnot, and obviously she's married now.
Mm-hmm. But by the by, she's an adulteress too. Well, mistress. She's a mistress too. She started fucking Travis Brown when he was still married. We got a lot of Hoffermans tonight, man. I was debating using that joke, but I decided it was apropos.
So I'm like, the more you know, and Chad's like, no, the more you hoe.
Do.
And it's like, if you keep it, like I said, back to the dating thing, like, dating and whatnot, you keep attracting the same person over and over and over again. Eventually, you have to sit back and realize, to the point you just made about that, like, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you kind of are what you attract, and obviously you know that line of adage, you teach people how to treat you. When she mentioned that it was the fan, like it's if the company treat them like trash because the fans did first, it's like you do know a lot of these performers don't have any say over how they get booked. You know, some of them have to go so far to reservation with some of these characters. I mean, like, look at Nikki Ash. You think Nikki Cross would be even sniffing the women's title if she wasn't in this ridiculous gimmick?
Which is sad.
We just talked about that last week. I mean, it's great for her because I mean, obviously she looks like she's having and fun, but I mean, look how much energy she put into that crazed Nikki character from NXT all those years, and now she got to freaking play, you know, the female version of underdog. Um, so it's amazing to me how dense, you know, she is just because she rather just feel like she's shitting on, you know, wrestling Twitter, which a lot of times they do deserve it because wrestling Twitter is a cluster F. Um, a lot of times of like just a very uneducated voice echo chamber. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to say that look, you teach people how to treat you. The company has ran more talents into the ground that we can name. We'll be on this show for another 5 hours on down the list. You know, they ran Dolph Ziggler into the ground. They ran the now released Bray Wyatt into the ground. You know, they
Bobby
found a way to
Roode,
make yeah, they found a
Asuka,
way to make Oscar look boom. Yeah,
Nakamura. They made him pedestrian. Like, damn. They
and
even
that's just
buried Undertaker
and then
several times.
they literally, like it literally got to the point where the man had to call it a quits. And I still think Vince is waiting at chomping at the bit to find a way to get him out of retirement. Um, you know, that's why you're getting guys like, you know, they had to rely on guys like Brock and Goldberg and Taker and other guys, and probably waiting on the Rock to come back because they don't give a damn about none of these current guys. They had a returning Keith Lee versus Cross, a guy who
But
was coming off a loss. He's an NXT champion coming off a loss from the. I mean, Jeff Hardy is in obscurity right now. Coming off a loss from him, Keith Lee basically played a buffer for returning Goldberg last week. They both took L's, and you're gonna put them against each other. That's way.
the thing that I had something, but I lost it. Like, fuck.
Yeah,
They're a trash company. That's all you need to know. Moving on.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
bad.
it was something. I forgot what it was. Like, you said something, I wanted to be like, yeah, but then I was like, and then I'm like, Chris Hero is ready to get back to wrestling. He said on the Post Wrestling's podcast or in an interview with Andrew Thomas that he's ready to return to the ring. I'd like to, at least. What I mean by this is I'd like to have a seat at the table when it comes to having a conversation about, oh, we're thinking about doing this or that. What do you think about this? And I like to use my experience to kind of give my opinion. If they take it, cool. If not, cool. But I think I can be very helpful for a number of companies, so it will be exciting to do that. I know people look at me as the older brother, the uncle, or whatever, that will come in and kind of pass down a little wisdom, but, I'm going to start knocking people on their ass again. I got so much more to do. Now, he worked as a backstage producer for Ring of Honor, but it very much sounds like it was kind of just of a, hey, I want to show up. And they're like, you want a paycheck? Well, I wasn't asking for a paycheck. We'll give you one. You want to help produce? What do I got to do? I don't know, point at the curtain and go, all right, you're up. That's all I got to do? Yeah. All right, I'll take a paycheck. That's pretty much how it sounds that his job as a producer was for the last round of taping. So he might be in Ring of Honor for long term. He might not, but it doesn't seem like the initial deal is for a long term, which means AEW, NWA, Impact, MLW, Ring of Honor. Clearly, he can still go to Japan. I think he's 40. So it's not like he's ancient by any means. Like we are in the age of the advanced, prime. He's 41. So like there's plenty of opportunity for Chris Hero, especially if he decides that he wants to get back into shape, because he's been carrying a lot of extra weight the last few years. And if he's able to drop some of that, he can really improve his cardio, really improve his mobility, take the weight off, the pressure off the knees, the pressure off the back. You get more flexibility, you get more durability. It's a win-win. Who knows if he'll do that? But Chris Hero back in the ring is something that a lot of people have been kind of, waiting for. And he's another guy, like when you think about Ring of Honor people, who a lot of people expected to win the Ring of Honor World title at some point, never did. I don't even think he won a title in WWE at all. Like, he peaked in 2014 with a feud with William Regal, for Christ's sakes, and he was on the way out the door. So, yeah, Hero needs to do some Hero stuff. Marcus, do you want to see Chris Hero in any major promotion? And if so, which one?
I don't know. I've always appreciated. He's one of those guys I've always appreciated their in ring, but I've never really been a fan of the guy.
He does lack personality.
Yeah, I felt the same way about Elgin even before I learned how trash he was.
He does lack personality too, and ethics.
Yeah.
And morality. And a soul. And a wife now.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. Oh.
But it's, yeah, like you said, I'm just using this guy as an example. Like, if he ever decided to, really tone up and get into the shape of like a Moose, he'd to be a problem, because even in the shape that he's in, he's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, all that stuff he did on PWG, and then, like you said, Ring of Honor and other places, and obviously he had running WWE and NXT. But, yeah, I don't know what's really held him back from being people pulling the trigger. I don't know if it was, like you said, the lack of personality, because he really does talk with his in-ring.
Mm-hmm. Punch Fest 2021, Eddie versus Chris Hero. Book it.
No, that's great. That's actually great.
Loser drops 20 pounds.
Chance booking it. You know what? Do it before the match and after. If you can do it during the match, I'll give you a bonus.
Listen, I want to be clear. I'll do it too. Like, I will Vince McMahon this bitch. The only thing I ever appreciate about Vince McMahon is he will always do the dumb shit before the person does the dumb shit. I always appreciate that. I think the only time that I can think of that Vince didn't do the dumb shit was the Hell in a Cell spot. Although, no, he did actually. I think he did. Because he fell off the side of the cage, but no one expected Mick to go through the top of it. I always forget about that.
What you talking about the Rikishi spot or the mix spot?
The mix spot. I think Vince did the Rikishi spot. Like, Vince is always doing dumb shit. I always appreciate that.
Yeah, that's one thing I think everybody foundationally respects about him. Like, he won't ask nothing he wouldn't do himself. Which doesn't necessarily equate to anything good when you think about some of the ideas he's had, like doing a storyline where he would be the father of Stephanie's kid.
Yeah. You say possibly. I say mirrors real life. We'll see what the DNA says.
Look on the sonogram.
Vince and Linda kind of look a little related. I'm just
hilarious. Look at the sonogram and No Chance starts playing.
So, Doc, do you think it's mine? Well, let's check the sonogram. Dude, that's what you got. Hang on, I got to move it a little. No chance! That's what you got! Ah, damn it.
Oh, man. Sorry, kid. But,
yeah, my Vince and Triple H are far too fucking similar. Sorry, kid. I don't even know who that was. Darkseid, maybe? I don't know. All right, Shotzi Blackheart made some waves a few months ago when she tweeted a gif of a girl falling into a little Betty by. And she tweeted that after Jericho fell onto a crash pad during an AEW show, and it was bad. It looked bad. It's not the first time it's ever happened. Impact didn't ever use crash pads that I'm aware of, but they used to do the cardboard boxes. And I think Abyss fell into one, or it was Bully Ray fell into it. And it was the funniest fucking shit I've ever seen. Sorry for the swear. I'm trying not to do that anymore. So, like, I get that they do it. And AEW kind of, they're still working out the kinks on how to do all of these things. And one of the things you always do is you buy more tarp than you have thing. So you tuck it. So that way when you hit it, the tarp can come up some, but it doesn't reveal the crash pad. Or you do what the WWE does, build a steel grates structure, power bomb the guy through the opening of the structure so he lands on the crash pad. Then you have the dude take the crash pad away after the guy lands so it looks like he landed on the concrete. Genius. But no one else can see that until the camera looks down into the hole. So, there's a reason for things. But Shotzi got some blowback from that. And Jericho tweeted out, anybody that bags on someone who's taking a chance and putting their bodies on the line can really fuck off, especially in the business. I could say some names. There's a couple chicks in the WWE who said some stuff, and they probably should have not said that. They probably weren't trained any better, and in 6 months they'll be probably asking us for a job anyways, and I'll remember that. So we'll leave it at that. He's referring to Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox. Shotzi was asked by McCarthy of Post, or of Talk Sports, not a Post, Talk Sports, about the response to her, and Shotzi says, I mean, no offense to Chris Jericho. I thought, honestly, the match was great, but you know what? Like, take a joke. Take a joke, bud. Laughs. It's just a gif. Laugh at it, move on. It's live TV. Things happen. It's pro wrestling. Don't take life too seriously. It's all I got to say. But here's the thing. It's only a joke if both parties are in on it. If someone's embarrassed by it, it's not a joke. It's mean-spirited. You don't need to mock something. And that's what she's doing. We joke on this show because I know what is and isn't appropriate within the context of the conversation. Me calling Marcus a racist isn't insulting because he's doing a show with a white dude. I don't think he's a racist. So whenever he goes, I couldn't even tell them apart, and I go, ha, racist. It's funny. We laugh. If I ever thought it bothered him, I wouldn't do it. Because a joke is something that we all enjoy. It's done for the sake of a laugh. Mocking someone, yeah, you might get some likes, you might get some comments and some retweets, and oh my God, that's so funny, LOL. But if the other person you're joking or making fun of isn't in on it and isn't down with it, you're not joking, you're harassing, you're bullying, you're being a bitch, being a cunt, being a dick, being an asshole. Any form of genitalia is what you are being. And for her to double down, it shows that she really doesn't understand how fucked she is if she gets fired. Because AEW is not going to hire her. I believe that in a heartbeat. Jericho is a dude who, generally speaking, does what he says. He spent 20 years saying, I'm not leaving the company. Granted, he did leave the company. But I don't think a 50-year-old Shotzi Blackheart is going to make it in AEW. I'm just saying, like, she doesn't have 20 fucking years for Jericho to let go of the feud. He'll be 73 and probably still wrestling the main event. I'm just saying. Marcus, is this a situation where Jericho was too sensitive, or do you agree with Jericho and there are just some things you don't talk shit about?
Yeah, just to be clear, she made fun of the fact that it was a crash pad he fell on?
Yes. Not the match itself, not the wrestler, not anything of that ilk, just more or less that he fell onto a giant mattress.
Yeah, I mean, look, he just had a freaking match with Nick Gage, which, was dangerous enough.
Booking Nick Cage is dangerous enough.
Exactly. Not my style at all. But at Jericho's status in wrestling at his age, he don't have to be doing none of the stuff that he's doing.
Mm-mm.
Specifically, elevating guys like MJF, elevating guys like Orange Cassidy. He doesn't have to be taking any of these risks. He's a husband. He's a father. He's an older guy. Not elderly, but he's aged, and he really don't have to be in the company at all. So to do the stuff that he's doing, it kind of shows he still has love for the business at a time where a lot of guys be burned out, and some might even be salty and on Twitter, wagging their fingers and whatnot. I just think for him, this was one of them instances because Jericho's a joke, so he's never been one of those guys that is appeared to have like too many sticks up his ass about stuff. But I think for him, it's like do you know who I am? I didn't have to take that bump. I didn't have to take any bumps at all in that match. But that was something to elevate MJF as a heel and stuff of that nature. And also for Jericho, he's gone a long time in his career without really sustaining a lot of major injuries, if any at all. So I think, that's something you got to take pride in. And it's funny for me with that coming from Shotzi because she wrestles a more hardcore style.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe she came at it from the concept of, I'm not a crash pad girl, but it's like, can you really judge that when the whole concept of the sport that you're in is human car accidents in the first place? So...
To be very clear about wrestling as a whole is a crash pad combat sport. Everything is designed to look real but feel safe. So the idea that you're going to make fun of a dude falling onto a crash pad is about the same as pretending that you're actually getting punched in the face. Like, come on. Shotzi, I love you. I genuinely think you're a darling talent. I think you can do great things, but pick your fucking battles, lady. This ain't one. Picking on the head of AEW is fucking stupid. Speaking of stupid, anyone who thinks Leo Rush is retired, I have some beachfront property in Nebraska I would love to sell you. I hope you love those hot summer days in December in Montana. Spring break, Nova Scotia. Leo Rush isn't retired. Leo Rush might think he's retired. Leo Rush might actually believe he's retired. But we have been around wrestling for so long that we know there is no such thing as retired in wrestling. There isn't. It's just see you soon or see you later. It's never goodbye.
Yeah.
Leo Rush tweeted out this today, yesterday. Every single day for the past 3 months, I've been in rehab, working harder than I've ever worked before because he has, I think, a shoulder surgery that he had to do. Happy to announce that today, I've been cleared. Cleared for what? What have you been cleared for, Leo? I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Some of these guys never fall out of love with it, and some of these guys have a kind of back and forth relationship with the sport. One thing that's never been up for debate is how talented Leo Rush is. Obviously, he's had his ups and downs. He's kind of been transparent in certain instances, specifically about stuff he's gone through personally.
Mm-hmm.
But he really is, super talented in the ring. And when we initially talked about him potentially retiring after his potential injury, or after this injury that he had, it sucked. But I'm always pro guys putting their health above anything else. So, like I said, we never thought we'd see Daniel Bryan, and certainly not somebody like Edge, step in the ring. And I constantly see stuff talking about, Paige, her next situation improving. So this really is one of them scenarios where you can never say never. And I don't know if, even as hard as the sport is for a lot of guys, if they can ever really get it out their system. We just got through talking about Flair, whose life has been built around this thing. So, kudos to him. But again, thankfully, we're not still in that space as fans where it's like, no, he's retiring. He said he's going to retire. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. Retirement means retirement. It means it's over. Like, no, it's always a see you later in wrestling.
Sting is 62. He's not retired. Goldberg is 54. He's not retired. Don't tell me with years left on your bump card, you're going to take an early exit. Paul Roma, going back to Roma, I told you, Roma's on the brain, is allegedly, and I don't know if it's true, but allegedly 61, and he was wrestling at 59. He hasn't wrestled since 2019, but I assume he will wrestle again because he's in jacked shape.
Yeah.
So here's another one. ACH. He posted an Instagram post in June saying, "No need for the dramatic or emotional play. As of today, I will officially step away from professional wrestling. Thanks for all the support and love." This is his second retirement. I'm not believing you guys. I'm not. I'm sorry. I won't apologize. I'll just say, I look forward to seeing you again. Speaking of people who want to see other people again, Josh Alexander, he ain't done with AEW. He's very adamant that he wants the best from AEW at Bound for Glory. Black Taurus, you are AAA's best. If we look at my title reign, I've beaten someone from New Japan that's supposedly the best. Someone from AAA that's supposedly the best. I have run through the entire Impact X division, so now I need to look elsewhere. We're talking about all these different promotions coming at Bound for Glory. AEW, yeah, you know who I'm talking about. I'm saying you give me your best, and we will see which division matters most in this company. One, I didn't realize he wrestled someone from New Japan, so I'm going to have to check that out, because when did that happen? Was it an Ultimate X match? I don't know. I'm looking this up now. Marcus, who do you want to see Josh Alexander wrestle at Impact's Bound for Glory as long as they're from AEW?
I mean, well, since they brought in somebody who's also an Impact OG, well, he's a real Impact OG in Kaz. Cool to see him back. Um, I mean, look, they're on the AEW roster now. I mean, we talking X division. You bring in somebody like Phoenix.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
That could
saying?
work.
You know, does I know he's certainly no favorite of yours. I mean, but technically, does Pac qualify as a X division talent?
I mean, do you want to be an asshole about things, Marcus? Sure.
Oh, but yeah, hell, Jungle Jack.
There you
You
go.
know, like that. Hell, Darby. It's they got options.
And,
But it would,
and Marcus, I need to emphasize something. You're talking about the X division.
yeah.
We're not talking about a division with weight limits. We're talking about a division with no limits. So say what you want to say, because I know you want to say it. Say it. There's a big, hulking, massive individual over there who's not really doing too much. Last name Corn, first name Cobb. I know you want to see it. I know I want to see it. Powerhouse Cobb. Hobbs. God damn it. I didn't even mean to do that. I thought his name was actually Powerhouse Cobb for a second.
Brilliant, because he's not
Oh.
doing nothing. And again, they stacking names. I know they're getting another show and whatnot, but you got to get some of these talents out there. And I would love, and I think Chad and a lot of other Impact fans would love, if you have freaking Josh Alexander, who clearly wants all the smoke. Shout out to the Street Profits, but Alexander is legitimately calling out people for the smoke. To have him go there, show up in AEW, so that this relationship is reciprocal, then call somebody out. Have them walk out there and watch their match. Then after the fact, meet on the ramp and just hold the title up. It's simple.
Remember how geeked people were when Kenta showed up? Or sorry, I'm sorry, Benta, because apparently I'm fucking up names tonight. Might as well just keep on the trend. So it was El Phantasmo, and I completely forgot he wrestled him. It was back in May. Completely forgot that happened. It was like his second defense. We're going to count these out loud. So he won the title back in April. He defended against Ace Austin. That's 1. Phantasmo, that's 2. TJP, that's 3. He defeated at the Slammiversary Austin Bay, Petey, Rohit, and Miguel. We'll count that as 4. Black Taurus is 5. So he's had 5 title defenses. Sorry, 6. Forgot about the TJP Iron Man match. That's 7 title defenses since he's won it. I don't think Bobby Lashley's guy. I don't think Bobby Lashley's wrestled 7 times since winning the WWE Championship back, or for the first time. I don't know. I don't know how many times he's held that belt. I think it was twice. I could be wrong though. So it just kind of gives you a sense of the fact that they really are doing all they can to make, Josh Alexander into that dude. Plus, he has wins over Rocky Romero and Alex Coughlin on New Japan Strong. I know who I'm voting for Wrestler of the Year.
Hey.
Sorry, Kenny. All right, so you want Phoenix, maybe Powerhouse Hobbs. I think both those are solid ideas. I'll come back tomorrow night with my answer because I'm not entirely sure. Maybe Hook, just for lulz. Here's what we should do. Why is Josh Alexander not being booked with Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn and even Bret fucking Hart? Because God knows he's not doing anything except for laying around in Italy. Like, have him book with a fight team. Like, that would be dope. He comes out in, like, fight gear and he beats the shit out of people and then he leaves with the belt. Like, hell yeah. If I'm Impact, he's my next world champion. If I'm Impact, he's the one taking the belt off of fucking Kenny Omega. I like Moose. I do. But Josh Alexander is a different breed. He's just a bad man. He's a bad mother. I'll shut my mouth. How was that Shaft movie, by the way? The sequel to, or technically it's a threequel because the show was the first one, then the Sam Jackson was a sequel, and then there's the third one. How was the third one? Did you see it?
I dug the third one. Yeah, I like the third one because they did the thing where they made the OG Shaft's dad,
Uncle.
his dad, yeah, but he really was his father, and then
Oh.
And then the new kid playing Young Shaft. So it was 3 generations: Richard Roundtree, Samuel, and then Jesse T. Usher. So it was cool. It was cool because they played it like Samuel was the old cat that was kind of stuck in his ways, and then Jesse T being a millennial who was PG and PC and all that stuff.
I should see that. I like the movie. I never saw the show. It was way before my time. I ain't that old. But I like the movie. So maybe I'll check the third one. Last bit of news. If you're a fan of indie wrestling, I haven't updated the photo. There we go. The Wrestling Revolver Company, which is apparently owned by Sami Callihan, I think, is what it says. Let me see. Let's see. Is there any information about that? Callahan owns the promotion. Okay. They have booked the Wolves to be reunited. Now they're booking Sami Callihan and Jon Moxley to reunite as the tag team formerly known as Switchblade. Over 10 years in the making. They are also bringing in the Man Scout. I think Chris Bay is coming in on this. So is Ace Austin. There's one other name. The dude from NXT who just got released not that long ago. I think his name's like Alex Green or something like that. Some generic ass name. So they're building up a fucking show, and this is only a 11-hour drive for me, and I'm contemplating making it because it's fucking stacked. It might be a show of the year.
Nice.
Right? I had a very good month financially with my work. Set some all-time highs, both as a site, as an individual, and as a demigod. So, I don't know. I might splurge. Who knows? But my point being is this dope show. Do you want to see Sami Callihan and Jon Moxley reunite on Impact or AEW?
Yeah. I think it'll be real cool, man. I mean, those are two certainly interesting personalities to clash. And I just think, look, anything to kind of keep things mixed up, because with Bound for Glory being this big collaborative event, anything can and should happen.
Yeah.
Again, but with Impact coming out with some premier benefits, because letting they the ones that's need to come out on a good end, because AEW has what they have, and everybody's trying to go there anyway. But Impact, really doesn't consistently get the recognition it deserves. So we always champion that. But Moxley and Callahan, come on, man, that's Jesus, that's some pain.
It's going to be interesting. If I go, it'll be on October 30th, and I'm going to drag Zach with me, kicking and screaming, even if he doesn't want to go. You heard me. I'm in a kidnapping mood tonight. First Marcus, now Zach. I'm just snatching everyone. Hide your co-host. Hide your wife. I'm snatching everyone up in here. All right. Tomorrow we're back. Just loaded shows. I think this is going to be a new trend for us. Anytime we go too long, we'll just bump to the next day. But starting next week, now you're cool with this, right? Starting next week? About moving the show day?
Oh, yeah, Mondays, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So starting next week, we're going to start recording on Mondays, because the idea is we're going to start with the Making an Impact podcast first, so that way I can get that up the day of and actually have some buffer time between the next episode. So there's that. We're going to keep in the trend where the weeks that we record the shows where there's a pay-per-view to recap, we're not going to worry about the previous week's show. So we're not talking about last Thursday's Impact tomorrow. We're going to talk about Homecoming. That was their show from Saturday. Fun show. Can't wait to talk about it. Yeah. Marcus and I have a lot of opinions. And then we're also going to do our Lucha Look Back. I think we're on episode 4. Quattro.
Yeah, man. And it's Monday.
Must be Monday. Must not have anything on.
Exactly. You can certainly call about 3 hours. We try not to go that long at all.
We used to.
But you definitely have 3 hours free for sure. So,
Marcus, remember when we went 3 hours regularly? What were we thinking? How much free time did we have? Fuck.
Yeah, I know, man. Just 3 young guys podding, man. Just 3 young single guys just podding, shooting the crap.
Marcus, when I started doing this thing in 2009, the word podcast didn't even exist. We were an internet radio show. It's how long I've been in this game.
Oh man.
Got 600,000 lifetime listens. Like, fuck off. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I
Back
I need a
back when we,
girlfriend.
back when we watched and liked all of wrestling and
Uh,
continuously bought quality comic books and wanted to talk about them and the shows. Oh, how times have changed.
I stopped liking the WWE in 2007. Once they killed the brand split, I was like, ah, you lost me. But yeah, the comic books, ugh. Everyone's like, oh my god, manga's overtaking comic books. Yeah, no shit. Mangas end. Mangas end, however you want to call them. They end. There's a finality to it. You only have to buy so many and then they're done. That's why The Walking Dead was so popular. There was always going to be a conclusion eventually. Instead, with DC and Marvel, it's like, oh god, that run was so good with Tomasi. I can't wait to see what Bendis, and he's going to age up John, and he's going to make Lois in a love triangle with Alexa. Yeah, I'm done reading comics. No, thank you. I have a theory about why a lot of media is getting the rigmarole, if you will, but that's going to be for a different day because it's an hour and 30 minutes and we're done. RealNerdCorp.com, RealNerdCorp.com. We're on Twitter at NERDCORP. We're on Instagram at RealNerdCorp. We're also on Twitch.tv/Wrestling Underground and YouTube.com/The Wrestling Underground. Oh, nope, that's Nerdcorp now, sorry. Nope, no, I was right the first time. The Wrestling Underground. I know what I'm talking about. You can find Marcus on Twitter, ParadoxKid, ParadoxKid.
That's me.
You can also find him on his other podcast, the Better Podcast. The podcast is actually professionally ran, unlike this shit show that we always do, called The True Penny Show, TruePennyShow. Look up the website. No, nope, that's not right. The handle on Twitter. There it is. True Penny Show on Twitter. You can also find me on Twitter, Chad Nerdcorp, CHEDNERDCORP, and on the Instagram at Chad's Photo Hut. Once again, it's RealNerdCorp.com, NERDCORP on Twitter, and RealNerdCorp on Instagram, but we don't really use that anymore, so don't worry about it. For Marcus Green, I'm Chad Porto. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for giving us a chance. And as always, watch more wrestling, just not the WWE, because they'll make you choke on your own vomit. Marcus, take us home.
Good night, me.